Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We would like to welcome you to the Sixth District Community Meeting on August 15th at the 5:30 hour. And my name is Lolita Sparks Wade, and I am your councilwoman. And I'm going to start to my left, and I'm going to let our department heads introduce themselves.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Rachel Caesar. I am the Deputy Director for Public Works for the City of Gary, and that encompasses the General Services Department.
Good evening, I'm Nate George, I'm the Superintendent for your Parks Department.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Bradley. I'm the Fire Chief, City of Gary.
Okay. And on tonight, we're going to follow our agendas. And basically what I wanted to do on today was to give you all updates on the projects that are going forth in the Sixth District. And we are going to, how about if we start with Rachel, Ms. Caesar, if you would? And at any time, after our presenter is done speaking, then we can ask questions, okay? So I'm gonna ask that you not interrupt, while they're speaking, but as soon as they're done, then we'll be entertaining your questions, okay? All right.
Okay, so what I'd like to share with you first and foremost is some information that I know that you're all going to be interested in. As recently as today, the Public Works Department had a contractors meeting to get some help in the City of Gary with these lots and the overgrowth, the easements, and the issues that are of concern to all of us, right? So what we have undertaken to do is to pretty much divide the city into routes using the same model that we use for snow removal. So that encompasses the entire city. There are a total of 11, but only 10 are relevant to this project because, and the overarching reason, and I guess you could characterize it as an emergency, you know, with the kids going back to school, and we just have too much overgrowth and too much cutting that is reasonably feasible for the General Services Department to do. So let me just put that out there first and foremost, okay? And that's not an excuse, that's just a fact. And the fact is that we have a total of, I believe it's 25 full-time employees. And that's reduced to probably from closer to 200 at the height of the city departments, right? So, and it's not just a question of a reduction in staff, because what also is a big factor in this to the abundance of vacant properties, you have fewer people maintaining. So you kind of have two factors working together that's putting just an unmanageable workload. I'm going to be completely honest with you. We don't have the wherewithal to do that in-house. And it doesn't matter what you call the initiative or how we try to organize them in a way where they work together, because they're all drawing from the same resources, and the resources just aren't there. So we have identified the funding to bring in some local contractors to help with the cutting. We expect to have that underway as soon as next week. We're hopeful that we can get going over the weekend, but we're being very aggressive in starting the schedule so that we can kind of just reduce it. We think we're kind of out of the high growth period for the season, but at the same time, we know that we have to get a better grip on reducing the overgrowth, the lots, the weeds, and all of the things that I'm sure you all have a lot of concerns about and questions for. So hopefully that, well, we know that that's going to give us a lot of relief, and we'll start seeing that very soon in the city. So that's the big plan and the most immediate one that I think is of significance, importance to all of us here, that's going to be starting soon. The city is continuing to work their 5x5 initiative. We actually started in the 6th. I think the first month was the month of May, and they worked in reverse chronological order this year. So now we are currently working in the 3rd district, And that initiative is, scheduled to conclude, we're in 3, so there's districts 2 and districts 1 that needs to be completed. And I think that wraps up around the end of, we have August, October, which kind of takes us into, we have identified from November 1 to April 1 as the official winter period. So after that point, the weather gets kind of, questionable, anything could happen. So our official outdoor cleanup season is through November 1st. So the 5x5 is continuing. We're still working in the zones that have been identified. How we have, as we have moved forward with this initiative, is working with these 2 collaboratively. So now we're working in the 3rd district, and it's the 3rd district, but the area that has been identified, some areas adjacent to it have been identified as zone pickups. You can continue to put your request for services in 311, and another element of the contractor work that's scheduled to begin very soon is that we intend to include the 311 in that as well. So in addition to being able to do the lots and the overgrowth, and just to kind of get a uniform, standardized look, the goal is to fold in the 311s from the respective districts into that initiative as well.
And let me just piggyback off of, Ms. Caesar. We did not have any funds. Normally, at least we would be able to pick up where we could, employ contractors to do some, cutting of private properties that, have been abandoned or empty lots. We didn't have any of those funds this year. So, I have been using, Lake County Community Corrections with Mr. Barlow, but they're behind. And so, it has been a very, very difficult, season for us because we cannot keep up with the requests. And I know people are upset and angry and frustrated and all of that. If I could, if I had a zero-turn lawnmower, I'd get out there myself. But again, it's been very, very difficult, but we are still taking requests, and hopefully, some people like the corner of 40th and Georgia Street, when we finally got that done, I could've turned flips, but, we're working diligently. And those contractors are gonna be picking up on the 311s as well.
Yes, and that's gonna be a huge, advantage to that, is so we can kind of knock those down before we get into the inclement weather, and just to, generally, achieve a better, there are safety issues involved, not only vehicle safety, but just to try to address all of those issues as best we can. So I'm fairly confident that in the next couple of weeks, you're gonna see a market, change for the better in our physical appearance in the city.
Are there any questions? Please introduce yourself.
I'm in Cameron, we live on 47th Avenue, right up by Lou Wallace. And my question is there any way you all can pick up, because we do our own cleanup. We walk that track every morning, we see what's happening with it. It's our community. We want it to stay beautiful, so we make it beautiful. So we clean up with all our bags, we get our cutters, we did it yesterday morning, we did it this morning. And when you go over there, you'll see that lot on 47th Avenue where the gate is. I have a key to it, we go inside, we cut all the grass and everything, so it looks really, really nice. Besides that avenue is a beautiful avenue.
Yes, it is.
Because we keep our homes up.
Yes, we do.
But my question is there any way you could have, that we could get the bags picked up? We have a very difficult time. When we do all that work, and we have all those bags, and Republic comes, they're like, we're not allowed to take those bags. And then when we have we put them in the brown paper bags and set them on the side, then we have to call 311 4 times, put in a complaint for them just to come out and pick the bags up. And when they get wet, it's a hot mess.
Right, it is.
You know, so if we could just get some help on that.
That's an easy one.
We would greatly
Okay.
appreciate it because we do the work.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about sitting
No,
on
that's
contractors
an
over
easy
there.
one, so
We do
thank
the
you
work.
for your commitment and for that of your neighbors for working to help each other and to help our city. So we were able to get a garbage truck this year, and that has been a huge asset to the department. And primarily, that's how we use it. So we're happy to get calls for bags,
Okay.
pickups.
Okay, so then just call general services?
Yes,
And have
yes.
general services to come in?
Absolutely, and that's something that we typically can do in a 24-hour period, because we know the perils of leaving it out, you know, it gets all undone. So that's an easy fix, so just call general services, give us the bag location, and generally within 24 hours, we can get those picked up.
However, I can understand what you're saying, but just within the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've had to call 4 times
Do this
to
for
get them
me,
to come.
call my office as well, so that I can have a record of it, and I will follow up.
I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that,
But
absolutely.
just to be clear, so you're putting it in 311, because it shouldn't be that cumbersome to get bags picked up.
Exactly, it should be.
Right.
Now, I put in the 311, then I start calling. And then I filed and the woman says, she said, well, this is the 3rd call you've made, so now we gotta put in a complaint.
Yeah.
So, she put in a complaint, then next thing we know, they came out and picked the bags up.
Okay.
Cause we normally we don't wanna set it on the street, because when the children come through,
Mhm.
they hit them and have that stuff scattered everywhere, so we set it in the alley by our garbage cans, and we let them know, it's in the alley, could you just get it? They never picked it up, so we just took all those bags and drug them to Monroe side, right at the alley. And then I called them again, said, you know what, we moved them, so could you please send someone, then finally someone came out and picked them up. We shouldn't, if we're gonna clean it up, we don't mind.
Absolutely.
But we shouldn't have to go through all that just to get the bags picked up.
So this will work perfectly, so you call the councilwoman and you can text my phone.
Okay.
And then that'll create a
We can
solution to
definitely do
that.
that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and, we definitely appreciate you all over there on 47th Avenue. Mrs. Laurent, I know is over there as well, and you all have been, Mrs. Webb, you all have been doing a fantastic job in keeping that area clean with flowers and everything, so, we appreciate you, we do, thank you. Mr. Bassett?
I thought it was the plan, without having to call 311, to have leaf bags picked up on the west side the 1st and 3rd week of the month.
That's a different, not to be, I don't wanna conflate that with what she's saying. You're not talking about leaf bags from your yard clippings, are you?
No, when we go clean up Blue
Okay,
Waters,
that's
we
right.
do have leaf bags.
Mhm.
And we do have big black garbage bags as well, because
Okay.
there's so much debris.
Understood.
To clean up, we have both.
Okay, so the black bags, we're fine on that, the garbage truck can get that. The leaf bags that I believe you're referring to
Yes.
are, recycling, is
Right,
the
they should-
department.
It should come the same day as they picked up for recycling, shouldn't it? And garbage.
That's
Yeah.
not how it works on my
Yeah.
block. I get my recycling, and I believe my garbage collection is on Wednesday, but the leaf bags have a slightly different schedule. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not coordinated that way.
I think ours is on
Same day.
the same
Is it the
day,
same
but
day?
it's like
On the same
every
day.
other week.
Okay.
Right,
Okay,
yeah,
alright,
Do it later on in the day, but they do.
right.
okay, alright.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
who picks up the leaf bags? I've been putting mine on the front of my house, so when I called down to the office, they said to put it back there with the garbage, and the garbage people never pick them up.
The recycling?
No, my
No, the
leaf
leaf
bags.
bags.
I've always picked them on the front, and they pick them up from the front.
Yeah, that's my understanding is that they pick
They
them from
told me
the
to
front.
put them back last year.
No, I think.
Recycling will pick them up, but then, if you put it in your garbage can.
I never put the leaf bags in garbage, that's always
But I'm
on
just
the
saying,
front.
if you put them in there, Republic will pick them,
They
will.
will pick it up.
Our
Should
Republic
they
told
pick
us
them
that
up?
they will get fired if they took those brown bags.
Yeah.
So we had them in the garbage can and we had to take them out, I'm telling you. Yeah, we had to take them out, they said, the young man said he said, man, we will get fired if we take these, bags, you know, full of grass and all that stuff.
Yeah, 'cause they-
The brown bags, you know, so we figured we were clever, so we put them in the black bag.
And I specifically remember, I don't know if it was Matee Williams or somebody who indicated that you can put those, you can put grass clippings and your, leaves in the garbage can. I know I do.
In the bag though?
No.
But see, I think that's the caveat, not in the bag.
I put it in the the bag, I've done it both ways, actually, I've done it both ways. So,
I think it depends on your route, men, some men, they just don't wanna get it because, well, I live back, they get mad.
yeah, see, we
Yeah,
go,
so-
we're on the corner from each other. Mrs. Scott,
The mayor told us at one council meeting,
it was the mayor.
it was the mayor that told
Okay.
us, okay?
Okay.
But meanwhile, whatever I got,
Mhm.
my trees, my everything, I put it in the garbage can, okay? I have the city have hauled away my fence, I have tore my old fence down. Each week I kept filling up the garbage can, and they took it.
Mhm.
They also told me if someone vacates a house, they will take 2 large items a week, and they'll take up to 12 bags.
Okay,
And that's what the garbage man told me.
okay. All right, fantastic. So did you all get that? 2 large, I know they do 1 large item on a regular basis for each household, you all know that, right? Okay, but when a house is being emptied out, 2 large items and 12 bags.
That's what they told me.
Okay,
And just to
Ms.
speak
Pat,
favorably,
and then,
yeah,
did I see a hand up here?
yes,
Okay.
just to speak favorably with Republic, people have cleaned out their house, left, load of garbage. And every week, Jeff, Republic, get out, load as much as he can, because he's on a time schedule. And I mean, he just load it up and take it away. Next week, he's loading it up and he takes it away. He said this neighborhood is too beautiful to leave junky lot.
Right.
And we thank him for it.
Okay,
Yeah, he just
fantastic.
did.
We're gonna take care of them.
What exactly are these contractors doing? I mean, just grass cutting?
So the scope is this, because we know it's overwhelming out there. So we thought that, and it's kind of situational, depending on the lots and where they're located, right? They're not different size lots. But the general model is that we would do a cutback, right? Rather than the entire lot where we can, 6 feet perhaps. So we're looking at easements, a cutback in the lot of at least 6 feet, and that includes finishing, debris removal, as well as removing weeds, particularly around the, street signage, right? Now, some of them will require the bush hog, because the overhanging, the trees hanging over in the streets. Our department will take care of that. So their scope is a cutback in some instances, and some it's gonna be necessary to do the entire lot. The easement that goes around the corner to kind of create the L, and, finishing. So that includes the debris removal as well.
Okay, we had some trees to fall, and I took it on myself to cut them up at the pieces. But that's been like a month. They're still piling in the alley. Are they gonna pick that up?
Yes, eventually, and I'm not being flip or sarcastic, but the reality is this: the city of Gary has a very old tree canopy. I mean, trees are literally falling off the stump. As I was headed to, a meeting yesterday, right around the corner, I mean, there was no weather event going on, and the tree had fallen in the street. But I think that speaks to the age and the condition of most of the trees in the city. Long story short, short story long, there are a lot of trees that are being cut by residents such as yourself. NIPSCO is cutting a lot of trees. We're not able to get them to pick them up at the rate we would like, but we're always happy when we can just be charged with picking them up. Now, our loader, which is the primary piece of equipment that we use for picking up trees, our equipment, it's not in the most, sometimes it's not functional. And when the loader is down, that takes us away from that task from that day. But yes, sir, and I will get your address and make sure that those, get collected. But I'm just saying, there's an abundance as you ride around the city, you will see, and we appreciate residents, doing a lot of their own cutting.
There was a guy out with the, sanitary district last week. They were cleaning so they could, bring the sweepers in. And I asked him to pick those tree limbs up, cause he had the big, payloader.
Payloader?
Said he couldn't do it.
Did he have anywhere to put them? Cause he's gotta
He
have.
had a truck.
They had a, I mean, Senate GSD will, but that really isn't their.
No, I understood, I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
didn't.
But I'll get your address and I'll make sure that they get picked
So
up.
is the loader working right
Yes,
now?
it is, we
Okay.
just had the windshield, it was down for a couple of days because we had a windshield, installed in it, it was cracked, and then yeah, but it's up now.
Okay, all right, fantastic. First, Mr. McKissick, and then,
Okay, my name is Herman McKissick. I have two issues. My number one issue is someone dumped a load of, debris in alley, behind my, I have a business and plus I reside at 5147 Broadway, right?
I think I just saw that complaint.
I have, I'm gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
But right now, there's a load of debris.
Right.
I have a dumpster in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
I pay $85 a buck to have that dumpster. I'm gonna pay regardless if they dumping or no. I think the first time I called, I talked to someone in general service. That was on the 5th. What's the date? 14th?
15.
I still got a load of garbage, debris in the alley. I like to know what's taking them so long. You know, I pay my tax. Where is my tax dollar going? I keep my property clean. You can walk down the alley front, right down Broadway in my lot. It stays clean. So, that's the first issue. My second issue, I think I talked to Councilman Wade last year, and the mayor, bust the sidewalk. Is the sidewalk the city or is it the state? Of
It's
course.
the city. It's the
Okay.
city.
Personally, I'm not gonna pay the money to have that sidewalk
Yeah.
fixed. It's been like that for about 10, 12 years. Okay, that's a tripping hazard. And also, I've seen people come down in wheelchairs. I sent you a picture of it, right down the street here. They have to go in the street to get across that hump.
Right.
Okay, last year and the year before last, they was working on Broadway. Okay, now why did they skip that area? I don't know. They saying this, the city have to pay the money. I think it's supposed to be like 50-50 for the residents. Well, the city gonna have to pay, because I'm not gonna pay 50-50. Because the reason is, years ago, when Broadway was resurfaced, the sidewalk, the city installed the sidewalk, not me. And it started cracking a few years after the fact, okay? And I just refuse to pay 50-50. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Because I go down Broadway, I see sidewalk being prepared last year and year before last. It's not round building, it's not, you know, no one lived in, okay? Now, you have a section about, what, 5 or 6 feet, and they can repair that sidewalk, handicap sidewalk, and they up and down Broadway working on it? No. So that's my second issue, okay? But number one, I like to have that debris removed from the, alley.
Okay, 5147 Broadway.
5147 on the east side of the street.
Okay, so
I've been complaining about it, I document every time I call.
oh, I'm sure, I don't doubt it, sir, and if you would
know,
only have.
and you paying $5,000 or $6,000 property tax, and I don't have any kids in school, my kids are gone, grown, they gone, no grandkids, where's my tax dollar going?
Well, I know that the councilwoman
You know.
will tell you where your tax dollars are going, but I do know, and she can speak to it as a legislator.
It's not helping me out, it's a problem that I've been having.
No, I
And I got
understand.
to, wrestle with someone to get a job done.
I understand that, but
You know?
she can elaborate on how the reduction in revenue has significantly.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't or charge me for someone else not doing. Don't punish me, I pay my tax.
No,
Okay, so we'll,
I don't know about what the other people around not paying tax, but I pay mine,
and,
I pay my costs.
and I think that's a frustration for all of us,
You know.
in that we pay taxes and we don't get the services that other communities are getting in exchange for the taxes that we pay. And we all know that the city is in a fiscal conundrum at this point. Personally, it, for all of us, it's, well, so what? I still, you know, it's just like going to the store, you expect to get something back when you give, you know, when you pay for your groceries, you expect to get your groceries back. When you pay for these services, you expect for the services to be there.
You wonder why the population here is going down?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And so what we will do, we can handle the alley cleanup immediately, and I'll follow up with you on that, to make sure that that gets done. In regards to the sidewalk, we had that conversation and, last year, and the program that was available was the 50-50. We addressed what the issue was, and the only thing that we could do was, well, not we, but the city offered a 50-50. You pay 50% and the city pays 50%. That's the only thing that's there right now. I can't do anything about that. Mr. McKissick, I wish I could, but there's nothing that I can do about that situation at this time.
You see,
But
the
I
50-50
will,
deal, oh, I'm sorry.
but what I will do is, I will speak with the mayor, again, about your sidewalk, because it is in a business area, and, it's on Broadway, and like you indicated, folk that are riding their wheelchairs down Broadway, and the project that they did, it should have included it, because I remember them dropping some asphalt or something in front of your place, and we got that picked up. But I will speak with the mayor again about, that sidewalk.
Even the engineer, they, you know, they, sure,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Okay,
But
so
I'm saying, he's saying the same thing,
okay, and we
you know, about the city the state should have fixed it, that's not necessary. See, this is state highway, it's not like that on, side
Right.
street, okay? And that's a big issue,
Mhm.
you know?
Okay, so we'll
And that's
we'll
been going
address
on
that.
for years,
We'll go ahead and address that.
even
Okay.
before they start.
We're gonna move on to the next one.
I'm sorry.
Question, the contractors, when they come out, they're just doing cutbacks, or are they gonna be bringing a chipper truck and also chip limbs such as what we have in our alley? And does the city have a chipper truck as well?
That's a Nate question, I'm not sure, Nate. It's like,
Chipper?
Chipper, wood chipper?
Yeah, where you feed the limbs in
Golf
and
course,
chips it up and.
golf course is the only one that has it, but,
City doesn't have one?
I don't believe the city
I don't
has
think
one.
we do either, I have not. And what was your first part of your question?
Are the contractors gonna bring their chipper trucks in?
Oh, yeah, they're providing all of the resources,
Okay.
yeah, equipment, human resources, all of it, yes.
How many contractors are there? Just
10, because there are 10 routes, so 10.
Let me take a break for a moment, because Mr. and Mrs. Blair were in the back when we got started, but I would like to introduce, Mr. and Mrs. Blair, who are the proprietors here at, I'm tongue-tied right now. Who are the proprietors of the Blind Social Center. And if you all would just stand or wave your hand and, let everybody see you. And we'd like to thank them for allowing us to have our meeting here. Guys, y'all gotta check this garden out. They have a wonderful garden. I picked some kale, okay, from the garden. She let me pick it by myself and everything. That kale lasted for about a month. I mean, without me, I just washed it and put it in the refrigerator. And it lasted for about a month. And you know, when you buy greens from the store in 2 weeks, less than 2, you better hurry up and wash those things and put them in the freezer. But I used kale for about a month, and, it was wonderful. What else did I have? I had some banana peppers and some, bell pepper. Oh, those bell peppers were phenomenal. Used them in my spaghetti. Y'all excuse me, but it was just so exciting to get fresh vegetables. You know, I'm a city girl, so I didn't get to pick, peas and stuff. But, we appreciate you all, and, we're gonna make a couple of announcements about, what's going on here at the Blind Social Center as well. But Ms. Blair, you had a question?
Yeah, actually, I wanna piggyback on this gentleman here in terms of the sidewalk that's buckled. Being that the state, it is a state highway, is it possible that the city can make a recommendation or something, send something to the state, ask for their assistance, and here's why. Not just it being in front of your place as far as in front of your sidewalk. Every year we have our walkathon, and we walk from here to the bike trail. And someone almost fell on that, raised sidewalk this year. So if we let the state know that the blind utilize that walkway on a regular basis, maybe they will help and assist.
Maybe so.
In that sidewalk.
And that's a new twist, 'cause, when I was trying to find out who was responsible for it, they told me that the city was responsible for it, so, and I spoke
State
to
is also
somebody.
responsible because of the ADA laws and blindness.
No, I'm saying, when I contacted the state, the state told me that the city was responsible for it, so, but.
Now you got something to put on.
But I got something to, let's add that addendum. Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Brown.
I could see the general public being confused, because I know when the state came in and they were doing the corners and they were putting in so the wheelchairs could have accessibility, they did the sidewalk.
Right.
So I could see them being confused as to sidewalks and what.
And then, for instance, Ridge Road is a state highway, okay? And, the lights at, Ridge and Georgia and Ridge and Martin Luther King have been blinking since I've been in office. And I contacted them and they said the city is responsible. So, so.
I'm confused by that though. Ridge Road and US 6, aren't they the same?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, isn't that a federal highway?
No, it's a state highway.
Because it's still got federal sign on it.
No, it's a state highway. Everything that runs, east and west. Well, when you see the white and black, it'll say, it'll indicate. So if it's a white and black sign, that's a state highway. So that's,
He's
Highway
thinking about the
6.
US 6. Is that the part that's confusing you?
Yeah,
I can
because
give
Ridge
you
Road and
US
US 6 are the same, right?
They are the same, but it is
But
state.
it's not US 6, it's
It's just
IN 6 or
Yes,
something like
it's
that.
They changed it.
Well, whatever it is, it's a state highway.
Why did that happen then? Why, in that sense, did that happen from federal to state?
Well, it didn't go from federal to state. It's always been a state highway.
Yeah, but that
8094 is a,
Yeah, but that goes across the country, US 6 too, doesn't it? State, across state lines.
I don't know if the number changes going somewhere else, going in another direction or not. But I certainly, we certainly not gonna be able to answer that tonight.
Because I was thinking, the reason why I was thinking that, because maybe the federal government should be helping out with this.
Oh, no, it is a state highway. It is a state highway. We had a question in the back, and we're gonna, cause I still got 2 more speakers, y'all.
I was just gonna, address the concrete issue. I did call the city and, inquired about the 50/50, but they wanted to use their contractors. My trust don't go that way. You know? Okay, so how do I know that your contractors are you're gonna have this enormous price, and then we're gonna end up paying it all, the city's really not gonna be paying 50%. So I didn't wanna go that route.
Okay.
And they said that's the only way that they would be able to do it, they use their contractors, I couldn't get my own personal contractor.
Okay.
So we decided that we spent our own money, so we got our own contractors and did our own city sidewalk, because it's in front of our house. That's the only way we really did, but you have a business, so yours would be a little bit different.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Nate?
Okay. So we have, in this area, we have 3 parks. We have Junedale, Pittman, and Howe Park. Howe Park has been going through the renovation process for
3 years?
Yeah. The actual renovations didn't start 3 years ago, but the process to get it started.
Let's go to the history.
Yeah.
We started on, Howe Park and, conversations in regards to Howe Park actually in 2015. Shortly after, I won the primary, I was in conversation with Roosevelt, Allen, Commissioner Roosevelt Allen at that time. And you know, Roosevelt Allen, it's been gone since 2016. So we've been working on Howe Park. But things are moving along, so go ahead.
Things are moving. So, we had, we broke the project up into phases. The first phase was the pavilion. And so it's, upgrade of the pavilion, flooring, lighting, painting, new doors. So those things, locker rooms, were also upgraded as well. We ran into a bit of a snag, probably, the work got started in January, but we ran into a little bit of a snag, and by this being my second project, something that I learned is that you have to have, communication between the architect and the contractor. Because the contractor is supposed to build to the specifications of the architect. And, you know, none of us who were on the board were qualified to tell any of the contractors, okay, this looks good, move on to the next thing. And so what we had to do was bring on the architect back on board. They agreed to a contract, the board approved the contract, so their contract has been back. And since then, things have moved at a really good pace. They are involved in the inspection of the facility, making sure that the contractors are doing things to their specifications. The other thing that the architect is also doing is making sure that the pavilion is ADA accessible, that it's an accessible facility. There are some minor things that need to be done. It's a pretty old building, it was probably more than 30 years old. And so you can imagine there are some things, the rules and regulations have changed as far as ADA is concerned. And so now the architect is redesigning it so it's more ADA compliant, so the doors will be open to a certain angle, stay open a certain amount of time, so folks can get in, making sure that the width is proper, making sure that the bathrooms are properly set up for ADA accessibility. And so that's where we are now. They are probably 60–70% done with the interior, not including the ADA modifications that have to be included. The next phase involves, and we just decided on this as a board, that there were tennis courts out there that have been overgrown. Concrete is cracked up. It's really bad. And so we partnered with the Green Urbanism and Environmental Affairs and Stormwater Management District to deconstruct the tennis courts and build basketball courts in their places. They will be environmentally friendly basketball courts. So what I mean by that is they will have green infrastructure components, which means the water that is collected will actually drain through the court itself and into a rain garden that will be adjacent to it. And so, by doing that, adding those features, Green Urbanism, Environmental Affairs, and Stormwater Management District was able to contribute a significant portion towards the construction of the basketball court. So that is phase 2. We're looking to have that get started. I don't remember what the timeline was on that one from Powers.
It's supposed to be finished by the end of the year though, right?
Right.
And we meet every,
First and third
first and
Mondays.
third Monday, every first and third Monday. And, you know, we're really, it's been a difficult process because we've secured our monies from the county. And, intergovernmental, transactions sometimes can be a little difficult. But with the monies that we got from them and the monies that Green Urbanism were able to give, we were able to really put together a tremendous improvement for Howe Park. And hopefully, as a matter of fact, because we're supposed to be doing a kitchen as well, new kitchen.
Yes.
New kitchen appliances in, Howe Park, so it's gonna be a beautiful facility, the pavilion is, for, rental as well. But go ahead.
So that's the second phase. There were also in plans for the park, a new playground area, and then there was also a splash pad. We are looking to secure external, funding. We're getting close to knowing if we get that or not in the next few weeks or not, 3 weeks or so. And so we're looking to install the splash pad as well. I know that was one of Councilwoman Wade's, that was one of your inspirations for doing the park. So kids would have a place to go cool off during the summer as opposed to finding, you know, that unfortunate accident that occurred years ago. And so we're working towards that. And so, that if we were able to secure the funding for the splash pad, that probably wouldn't get started until next April, because you can't start that work while the ground is frozen. Or you don't want to start it when it's not frozen and then it is frozen. So you just want to kind of do it all at one time. We also did talk about, as it relates to Howe Park, and we're hoping that it reactivates the park. There are some kids who use it on a frequent basis, but we're hoping that not only kids but adults utilize it. We talked about after-school programming there as well, so we're trying to see what we can put together to make sure that we have a consistent after-school program. We always hear the charge that our kids don't have enough things to do, and so what we're trying to do is work towards that and making sure that we have plenty of things for them to do to keep them busy.
Any questions?
You mentioned 2 others, you only
Yes.
spoke about one. You mentioned
Junedale.
Junedale has been adopted, Billy Ellis. Billy Ellis adopted Junedale for youth baseball. So he adopted that, he gutted it, put in, he did new stands, he took out the concession stand that was there. So, he redid that one. Pittman, which is right down the street, is on our cutting schedule on a regular basis. I think they just cut that one today. No, I'm sorry, that was yesterday. So we're cutting that one on a regular basis. Pittman has a pavilion that has been vacant for some years. The city boarded it up. Somebody keeps going in there and taking the boards down. It's a pretty good hangout spot for teenagers. But somebody just adopted it. I just did the Adopt a Park application through our park board, which approved it the other day. There is an organization that adopted it, wishes to make repairs to the roof, soffit, windows, and then remove the graffiti, from it as well. And so, I forgot the name of the organization, I'll get it to you. But, you know, the only thing with that is we just have to make sure that it goes through proper permitting and things like that. So we'll work with them on things like that, but, that's it as far as that.
We're gonna, we're gonna take Ms. Blair to back, raise her hands down for a while, and then Mr. Blair.
My question is, I'm aware of Bentley Ellis in terms of what he's done volunteering on his own time with some of his associates and all. But in the interim of what he's working toward, we need to keep that park cut. I stay right on the end of Junedale Park at 51st and Madison. I'm only able to cut when it's down low. When it get as high as it is, I can't cut it.
You mean outside of the field? You talking about outside of the field, or you talking?
Outside the field, the entire park, you know, it's okay, every now and then he gets someone that's volunteers to go out and cut the inside of the park.
Okay.
But you got the perimeter of the park that's grown up about this high.
Okay. All right.
So if you can get that cut for us, please, appreciate
Yes,
it.
ma'am. We'll add that to our schedule.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Mr. Blair, and then Ms. Brown.
Well, she kind of addressed what I was interested in asking. I was just gonna ask, once the park is adopted, you wash your hands of it?
No.
Well, then, you know, that happened for years since Bentley had demolished it.
I think we've had a crew go out a couple of times, because I've said.
The interior.
Yeah, you cut the inside, but the perimeter
Okay.
looks like a jungle. I mean, it's like
Okay.
it's like a crop circle. So what is that gonna do? You can see the cut of it inside the field, but the perimeter, even the city easement is grown over.
Okay. All right, I'll make sure we add that to our schedule.
Thank you.
As far as Junedale, I just left it, cause I heard that, someone tore the wood part down. I wasn't aware that it was being adopted, you know, like you said, it is adopted, right?
Yes.
Also, with Junedale, is it not on the historic preservation tour for this year? Junedale Field?
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah, well, it's happening on September the 14th and 15th, and if it is on that tour, I hope it looks a whole lot better than what it's looking now. And Junedale, by me just leaving it, I went and the doors need to be secured as far as the lighting, because what I heard over the phone was that Highland wanted to take the lights and use it in Highland, Indiana. I said, I know they're crazy. This is scary. They don't have, that's invading private property, you know, and it's unheard of.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions for Nate?
I just have a question. Who would be the one that would keep the field up for New Wallace? Would that be the city again, or would that be the school?
The school corporation?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's the school corporation, and I think it was back here in May, I think it was. I spoke with the, grounds person, but since that time, they've changed, the maintenance guy that's over everything. And I have not spoken with the new emergency manager in regards to, New Wallace. Also, Richard Ligon and Mr. Wood, Tony Wood, they keep up the football area.
Not anymore. Tony did, because he used to have his little fellas.
Right,
and they
right.
put the signs and everything
Right,
like that.
but they're not doing it anymore?
No.
Well, it might be because it's not in season, because, that's where Pop Warner
Right.
has their games.
No, but Mr.
No, I
Ligon
live
would
right
always-
across the
he
street
would
from
still
the
keep
field.
it
I'm
up.
telling you that Tony has not taken care of it, not this time. I'm thinking that maybe he got, let it go, because he had, at one point, He had cleaned it up, it was beautiful, we all got over there and helped. Put the locks and everything up. However, complaints went out because he had the gates locked, so no one could come in during the night and tear up, because they were going and tearing up everything there. So they complained, then, and he would come up every morning at 6 o'clock faithfully, and open the gates so everybody could walk and everything, but they had so many complaints. I think he just gave up, because they made him unlock the gates, and then as soon as he did that, it was vandalized. We had to call the police several times. Children on top of the concession stands, all on top of the, what do you call that? The radio room, whatever, you know, they're not, all up in the bleach, just busted all the way, just tore the place up, you know. Then they set a fire to one of the rooms of the school, no, not the school. They set a fire where they kept all the equipment at, on the field, you know, there's a room. They set a fire there. So I guess they had to cut the fence down in order to come into the field to get over there. It's a mess, it's a hot mess. Yes, I don't think Tony is doing that anymore. Cause we used to see him all the time, we wanted to go and commend him for all the hard work, and then we would always do part of it, so that he would just be able to keep just one section done, we would keep the other done. But they ripped all the signs down, he put signs up, didn't want the dogs on, then he'd come back. They forced them to open those gates up, and then they come in with dogs, they walk their dogs every day, the track is full of you know what, and then they do it in the grass, and his boys were coming and practicing, and they're getting all this stuff all over them. So I can understand, it was really frustrating, you know, so.
We have one more, speaker, and, Ms. Brown?
Yeah, the interim superintendent is Pete Maricas, and we're dealing with him, with Gary Roosevelt. And it seems like since the state has taken over as far as the Gary students and whatnot, and everybody else seems like hands off as far as the schools, that's how come we're trying to save Roosevelt from destruction. We don't want that to happen, what happened to Lou Wallace. And they're doing that too. So if we look at these eyesores because they're in our backyard, and they're saying breaking out windows, who's responsible?
All right, next will be Chief Bradley.
All right, hello everyone again. All right, it's been a long time coming, but with the support of the mayor and city council, especially Councilwoman Sparks-Wade, the fire station is being built. As you drive by, you see the construction going on. It's a 14,000 square foot fire station. Completion date, right now, we're on schedule to complete it February. So hopefully in February, I should have the station housed with the firefighters. I want to thank you for your support, first of all. It's been a long time since we had a station located in Glen Park. So due to the community's efforts of fire prevention, we have had somewhat less fires in Glen Park. Just so you know that we do have a program that if you call 219-881-5252, the firefighters will come out and install up to 3 brand new smoke detectors in your home. There's no cost to this, there's no cost to the citizens. It could be your private property, it could be your rental property, as long as that property is occupied. And we're able to take the information from the resident. So once we install the smoke detectors, we send the information to the American Red Cross, the program that we're doing with the American Red Cross, and also the Indiana Fire Marshal's office. As long as we turn the data in showing that we are installing smoke detectors, they reissue us the smoke detectors for free. So we continuously get smoke detectors. At this time, we do not have any carbon monoxide detectors. That's what everybody wanted. So the state and the Red Cross has not come up with a program for carbon monoxide detectors. But anybody can call the number 219-881-5252 and receive, 3 free smoke detectors. And the firefighters would come into your home and we install it. And we also go through a little program with you about, fire safety. And also on your block, if we come to your block and install a smoke detector, the firefighters then walk down that block and they put door knockers on each home to say, we've been on that block, and if you need smoke detectors, we will come back. And you call that, your neighbor can call that number and schedule it, and then we can come and install smoke detectors in your neighbor's house. But back to the fire station, once the fire station was designed to be able to support Glen Park. As you know, or you may not know, but we have the train tracks on 41st. Since we got a lot of train traffic through the Glen Park area. The station needs to be able to sustain Glen Park, so just in case the train broke down or the train came off the track or something. That station needs to be able to support Glen Park. So when that station officially opens, it will have a fire engine in it that carries 500 gallons of water. It will have a aerial truck with the ladder on it that can reach any of the tallest buildings, the roof of any tall building in Glen Park. It also would have an ambulance, and it also would have a chief officer. So to be able to staff that station is close to 10 to 12 firefighters a day. So hopefully we can sustain that and maintain it. But the station is designed to support the Glen Park, the 6th district. It's designed to support the 6th district. We did the best we could with the design and putting all the equipment in it that's needed. As things come up and the rules of the fire service change, then we will be able to do upgrades to that station. So once it's built, we're gonna support the community. Also, we work along with the Parks Department about cutting grass. So certain times, Parks Department gonna cut the fire station grass along with the Park Department grass. And if Park Department can't get to cutting the parks grass, then the firefighters, we gonna cut the parks grass. So we got a relationship when we do that. So he called me, I called him, and we help each other keep the grass cut. So we've been doing that. How many years we've been doing it long since me and Nate known each other. We've been back and forth with these parks assistants. So with that station being located there, we're not gonna cut the fire station grass and then the park grass be 8 inches high. That's not what we gonna do. Vice versa, yeah. So, and we purchased lawn equipment just for that station to be able to cut that grass. So then you won't see firefighters out there with a little push mower. We got a real mower so the firefighters can get on. And they're gonna do the best they can. Some days, if we get fires and the calls coming in, they won't be able to get to it. But believe you me, we're gonna support the Parks Department. We're trying to make sure that park and the community stay clean around the fire station.
And they do an excellent job of keeping the closed fire station grass cut. I know the one on 33rd, one on 41st and
Yes.
Station 5,
Yeah.
one 41st and Adams. So, we're gonna
Continue. We're gonna continue to make sure that the grass stays.
Absolutely.
at our fire
Wonderful.
station.
Ms. Brown and then Ms. Blair.
And you're to be commended, thank you so much, because like you said, the train crossing,
Right.
if they can't reach us,
Well,
you're
yeah,
making
but-
sure somebody reach us, thank you.
Right, but yeah, I appreciate that, but the only way we got this done was because of the support of the community. And also the support of the firefighters, because the firefighters have taken on an extra workload for us because they're a little farther distance away. So when you see those guys out there, give them a little thanks. They really care and they really put effort into trying to make sure they can get to you in a timely manner. So they make me look good. If they not out there every day, I wouldn't be sitting here right now and you be saying that I'm doing a good job. So I'll give all the credit to the guys that's in the station. They do the heavy lifting for me.
And my question is, where's this new location for the fire station being built?
49th in Pennsylvania.
49th.
49th and Pennsylvania, all the way over to 49th and Delaware. We took the whole, Pittman Square, old school lot. Right, we took the whole property. So, whatever part of it is not, you can drive by it now, you see how wide the parking lot thing is. So whatever, once we finish, whatever left is grass, we're gonna cut it down. Trust me, I tried to get rid of as much grass as I could now. I tried, but, you know, the money stopped at a certain point, so. But we will maintain the property out there and, help the park department keep the parking.
What do you do with the old fire stations?
With the old fire stations are, city, they city property. The mayor and the council, they make a determination on what they're gonna do with this fire station, whether they're gonna donate them as, communities, or they're gonna sell them. They have to, make their determination. But right now, as long as there's a fire station, it's the fire department's responsibility to keep them maintained, keep them cleaned up. Then don't let them become an eyesore.
So if somebody wanted to buy it as a house, make it into a house.
Yeah, if you have, yeah, that has been said, but you know, you have to go through zoning, I think you got to train to zoning and things like that, so, I mean, submit it if you want to. They always can say, they can say yes or no. It's up to the council and the mayor to say yes or no, whether they're gonna sell the fire station or not.
Yeah.
This is just an overall question for you, because we don't know what to do about it. Since we live on the avenue, 47th Avenue, and they have blacktop, it's beautiful, from Harrison all the way down to Cleveland.
Right.
When are we gonna get our street from Harrison to Broadway? We got the largest potholes, and they keep coming back. And I mean, they come out, they dump the stuff in, you don't pack it down, they just throw it in there, and then we'll stop them, you know, and then there could be a hole right on the corner of Monroe.
Right.
And 47, we said, well, could you guys put that, you know, in this hole? They told, we had to laugh about this one. They said, well, that's not on our list. So they wouldn't put it in the pothole, no, they get right next to the pothole. And they said, it's not on our list. The man would do, he said, well, we won't have enough to do what we need to do. And I'm like, oh, that is so ridiculous. I said, what if I just pay you for it? They're like, no, we can't do that. So I'm like.
That would be Ms. Caesar's department as well.
And also the speeding on 47, our children, you know, I don't have any children in school.
Right.
But they drive, it is like the Indy 500. These children, especially now they're starting school, you know, there's a bus, they have to catch the bus on 47. And they have to cross that street. And a lot of these children during the summer has almost gotten hit, because they're riding their little bicycles over Lew Wallace.
Right.
And they're flying down the street, and it's so dangerous.
Right, I've called in extra patrol in that area, before. You know, I don't know what we can do about that, but I'll talk to the chief about that again.
Can we post a sign or something, a speed sign?
And,
Cause we don't
there's
have,
no,
I don't think it's a speed sign. I think it's a school
I hate
crossing.
speed bumps.
It's a school crossing sign there.
Some more signage may be appropriate.
Yeah, some more.
Yeah.
And that's a way for the city to make some money too. I'ma tell you, catch all the speeders.
Right.
We, you know, we could get our sidewalks done with that money.
I wish it was that easy. So we'll put in for 47th and 47th Avenue from Harrison to Broadway.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna do those potholes, but I've gotta look on the list to see, and there is a list. There's a street paving list. And so let me check to see, when 47th is scheduled to be paved.
We did call them and inquire.
Okay.
They said, since that's not a thoroughfare, then we don't get it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Look, let me tell you something, even the state, we see the state police, we see the sheriff department and the Gary, you know, they fly down that street getting over to the east side. So then, why can't they have a good road to ride? And they turn up the police cars, we're gonna have to pay more money out of our pockets to fix the cars.
Like I said, I wish it was that easy. But, again, I'm gonna check to see if that street is indeed on the list, okay? They did do an assessment, to determine which were the most, the worst streets in the city. And they made the determination as far as which ones they would do first, according to that assessment. I disagreed with, you know, of course, but they made their determination, and that's, again, that would be the executive branch. So hopefully, 47th Avenue, we can get something done. And I know 51st Avenue, 50th and 51st. I know Ms. Blair getting ready to say.
No, I would like for you to add, 52nd Avenue. Well, I don't go down 51st anymore.
Okay.
I actually go around the block
Oh,
to
no,
get
it's
to my
just
home,
horrible.
which is on
Yeah.
52nd Avenue. And
Okay.
52nd Avenue between Washington and Broadway has 4 very large potholes.
Okay. Can we?
So at least fill those, and I can still go 52nd way.
Okay. Mr. Bassel.
In conjunction with the streets, however, what about, filling in the holes in the alleyways, with gravel and grading it over? Because some of those holes are pretty deep, going through between 47th and 48th Avenue, Jackson and Monroe. That alley is pretty bad there too. And Chief Bradley, I'd like to ask you a question in conjunction with, you mentioned you'll be having 10 to 12 staff on
Yeah.
employees. How, it's a 24-hour operation,
Yeah.
how will they be distributed throughout the morning, afternoon, and evening?
Well, the firefighters are assigned to that station work 24-hour shifts. So
Okay.
we work, we have 3 shifts, first term, second term, and third term. So each day is a different crew, unless those crews are, staying over for overtime. So so it'd be a total of 36 firefighters altogether, where it would be like 10 to 12 a day.
A day?
Yeah, 10 to 12 a
I
day.
just didn't know, when you mentioned 10 to 12, I thought that was supposed to span over.
No, I understand what you're saying. No, it's, 12 a day.
Okay.
And then the total number assigned to that station, and we call it, well, this station, we call it battalion, it's 36 altogether.
Okay, I think I saw your hand first and then.
When approximately will they get to the west side of Grand Park for cleaning the lots out? I've been calling for 2 years, and my course to go to the pole that is just overgrown, it's growing up over the lines up there.
What's your address? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
41st of Lincoln.
41st and Lincoln. So what we're gonna try to do is to get as much as we can folded into this lot cleanup. So, and I'm sure you're already in 311. Give me the exact location of where you work.
Well, it's 4144 where the lot is, next to my house.
Okay.
Okay, we have one here.
I was gonna say, I was hoping that code enforcement would be here, you know, for those abandoned, houses on my block. But you know, it's kind of a shame because the persons that own those properties live outside of the city, and they turn their nose up at the city, and I mean, you know, they're real flagrant with it, they don't care, you know, they go and code enforcement write them, and they don't do anything, they don't cut your properties, they don't, there's one house, a bird needs to be torn down, and the person bought it, but he's not doing anything, grass is growing up around the house. And if I wanted to sell my property, I couldn't, nobody wanna buy a property looking like that.
Okay, and what's that address?
I live at 5115 Washington, it's directly across the street from me.
How about
We
that?
did that last year.
Yeah, well,
We could sell a house if we did. The entire block is over, it's a property house.
you know, the city blocked off the street, we cut the street.
Right.
The city doesn't do anything to cut it, they blocked it off and left it. You know, It's getting rough.
Okay. See if we can, get somebody over there and put your person wash on. Yeah. Okay, and Mr. McKissick?
Follow up on what my young lady back here said about species. Now, we're liking of, policemen, right, patrolmen. The reason I say that is that Broadway is just a drag strip. But, once they get to 53rd, they drive the speed limit.
Yeah.
Coming back the same way. Once they cross 53rd, all along, they wide open, 6, 7, 80 miles an hour. You know, cause I've seen it. I've seen this way they operate. They drive the speed limit in Maryland, 60. Well, you need some more officers out there, really.
So this is what I wanna do,
How far as the splash pad that we're gonna try to get, are we gonna keep it maintained, keep it up? Cause the reason I'm asking that question is because they put one in over the park on 15th, and now it's overgrown with weeds. So are we gonna keep it?
So the interesting thing about that, since you mentioned that, it's part of a green infrastructure, project. Thing about green infrastructure projects is people have to have a very good knowledge of them. Not only like somebody like myself, but my maintenance staff. And, you know, I had the pleasure of going to Philadelphia, for a certification program for this, and got to see some of theirs. And their people who were in the same position as me were saying, yeah, it's nice, but my staff doesn't really know how to maintain it. This is the fourth largest city in the country. And so what's extremely important is that everybody has a good knowledge, not only my staff and myself, but also citizens as well. Because the thing about 15th Avenue, which is Reed Park, some of those plants, some of those weeds are actually plants that are actually serving the purpose of reducing the stormwater runoff. But if you didn't know any better, and I wouldn't have known any better until I got in the position, they look like weeds. The thing about the sand pits is, we're rectifying that situation. It was the wrong kind of sand that was put into the sand pits themselves. And so it was an unclean sand that promotes growth. And so what we actually did, if you drive by there, you'll see some piles of sand that are similar to the ones that are used at the golf course that don't have a lot of growth in them. So what we've got to do is kind of till it, put a covering over it, and then put that sand on top of it, and that should alleviate the issue. But the issue with things like that is, you just have to be knowledgeable of what's being included in those projects, and then the maintenance staff have to be knowledgeable as well. Oftentimes it just takes, like, you just have to maintain it once or twice a year, and that's it. But if nobody passes along the knowledge, then you'll get situations where it overgrows.
And ours is not going to be our splash pad is not gonna be the design of the one on 15. It's not gonna be a green thing.
No, not, well, there'll be some green features to it, but
not the,
yeah,
we
the
won't have the
splash
growth
pad of
and
15th
whatnot.
is
Yeah.
probably this big.
Yeah.
We're talking about almost 1,000 square feet on potential areas.
Ours is gonna be really nice.
It'll be the best
If we
one
can get it.
Also, what he was saying about the storm water and whatnot, as far as the greenery and whatnot, there is also endangered species, and we have it here in Gary, Indiana. It's called the mammoth butterfly, so when you see the milkweed, they want that plant. They're not gonna touch it, cause there's only one butterfly, there's only one worm of the, before he does his regeneration per plant.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
so they're gonna leave it, and they were asking us, the University of, it was the Science Museum, they came in several years ago and asked us to start planting the milkweed but it's in abundance.
Okay, yes, it
It's in
is.
abundance.
Yeah, it's all over.
We just noticed the other day that there was. Okay, I have a few announcements, before we leave. First, again, I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Blair for having us here at the Blind Social Center. As you all know, this is a beautiful facility right here at 4955 Broadway. So come on by, and check us out here. We have an event on Friday, August 23rd from 5 to 9 p.m. Dining in the Dark Gala, and the dream continues. This is the 5th annual fundraiser for the Blind Social Center, and it's going to be held at Marquette Park Pavilion. Tickets are $50, okay, and you can purchase those tickets from here, okay? Secondly, every first Friday of each month from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., the Blind Social Center holds its fish fry fundraiser. And last time they ran out of catfish. I didn't get my dinner last time. But the food is really, really good, and the donations are $10 for that. Then I'd like to announce the block club meeting, on Saturday, August 17th at 12 o'clock. And they're going to be at the Lew Wallace track area, and you're gonna bring your own lawn chair. That's a new acronym, BYOLC. Bring your own lawn chair. Children must be accompanied by a parent or adult. Light refreshments will be served, come one, come all. Neighbors meeting neighbors, weather permitting. Sponsored by the Junedale Subdivision 47 Block Club. And finally, there's an ordinance that is being sponsored by, I was hoping that the sponsors would be here this evening. They have requested that that Georgia Street be renamed Martin Luther King. I mean, not Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Martin Luther King. Malcolm X, Boulevard Street or whatever. Those who live on Georgia Street, and it's Georgia Street from our section, because they're taking it from 4th Avenue to 53rd. So that would encompass Virginia, Ellis, and Georgia Street on our end. And those who live on Georgia Street are being sent questionnaires, and please, if you have any issues with that, please send those questionnaires back. That assists us in our determination. I have been in support of the renaming of that street, and for various reasons, history. Every major city has a Malcolm X Boulevard, and I think it's time. But those who live on the street then would have to be, encompassed with the name change. So please make sure, and I'm speaking to the general public as well, please make sure that you send those questionnaires back. Hold on one second, and I've got one more announcement. Mrs. Brown, would you like to give us your information? She's from the Historical Society.
The Historic and Preservation, Gary Historic Preservation Commission. We are a sitting group appointed by the mayor. We're volunteers, and we're sitting to save Gary, Indiana history. We have certain sites that have come up. The first site was the Gary Land Company building. We have secured that. The council has voted their approval of the securing of that building with the train behind it. They're on 4th and Broadway. There is 31 other sites coming forward. We wanted to get that one. That was our protocol. And now we're trying to get 38 other sites that is coming forward before the council for their approval. And what it is, it's related to Gary's, history. And when I say history, I mean like St. John's Hospital. There were people, that hospital was put there for not only African Americans, but it served anybody that went to it. It was not a discriminatory hospital, which the two major hospitals in Gary did not allow blacks to go there. We're talking about St. Mary, whatever, Methodist Hospital, you know, back in the 50s and whatnot. I think the first babies, I forget the time period when they were able to come in there, the women to have their children. But the history in Gary, Indiana is very racial, which most of you know who have been here. And so we're trying to preserve certain structures because we want our young people and children and future generations to realize it was not easy. This is history in this northern community. They think the South was divided from the North, not when it comes to racism. It existed in the North as well as the South. And the things that they did up here, and right now, all of you, I'm sure you are aware of it, but you don't realize the impact it's making on your homes. You've been buying that home forever because it's called redlining. And that's a discriminative practice. So as we get enlightened, we're gonna try and enlighten the general public. We're doing it through Facebook, we're doing it through our website, the Gary Historic Preservation Commission. We're also doing it in the schools, trying to educate not only the young people, but the educators, because they didn't learn this. Some of them learn it in college, but they don't know Gary, Indiana, the way they should. So if there's any questions or anything, I am sitting on that committee, commission, and there's 8 of us, and we are available because we will be sitting in the community meetings, informing people and helping them to understand why we have to preserve Gary history, the buildings, not only the buildings, the people's history. Because affiliated with St. John's Hospital, there were black doctors, there were midwives, and now that we're finding out, we're so proud of them, you know, it's just, it's so much rich history that we're bringing forward. Any questions?
A question, do you have a list of the new 38 sites that you guys are?
It's coming forward. You have to fill out a site application, and that's what's coming forward, before the council sees it. Yes. It might be something you've been looking at.
Okay, any
Thank
other,
you.
you're welcome, thank you so much, Ms. Brown. And that's Ms. Pat Brown, she lives in our historic Morningside, area, and she was instrumental in getting Morningside declared
Yes.
as a historical, how do you say that?
Designation, and most of the homeowners in Morningside, if they were living there during the time in 2009 when it was declared historic, they had the plaques in their homes.
Mhm.
And we ask the people when they sell their home to leave the plaque,
Oh,
leave
yeah.
some type of, but they don't always, they take it with them.
Right.
It's up to them, but if we can give them,
Okay,
that
okay,
information.
wonderful, wonderful. Are there any more questions? I'm gonna take here,
I
there,
just wanna know
and.
where's Morningside.
I'm sorry. Morningside is the area between Broadway and Jefferson,
Yes.
from 45th to 47th.
Yeah. It's only 5 streets, and all the streets are turned in. That's part of the history of Morningside. All the streets are turned in. And it was a very rich area. It was owned by their bankers and the people that had their own businesses and whatnot. Now Morningside is full of a lot of individuals that are seniors, and they're doing their best to keep their homes up. It's a beautiful.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question, I'd just like to say, thank you for your service. I appreciate you serving, the 6th district. I appreciate you serving the city. And I hope the person that takes your place is as aggressive as you were in that position.
Thank you so much, I really appreciate that, appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
You know, I was gonna say, with Ms. Brown, when they did all that, after speaking with them, I wanted to see if my house was a historical home, and it is.
Oh.
So, we went through the process of getting it declared as well, so we have a home right on 47th and Monroe, that's our home, and it's a historic home as well.
Beautiful,
So thanks to her.
No problem. The nice thing about it, when you see that, then the other people in that block should look at their home.
Absolutely. So y'all call Ms. Brown. It has truly been, and this is not gonna be our last meeting, and we're gonna, come to a conclusion. I was hoping that the Democratic nominee would have been here tonight. He's usually at these meetings, but he probably had something else scheduled. Mr. Dwight Williams. But it has been an honor and a privilege to serve. This is not an easy thing to do. You guys are tough, but that's what Gary is made of, a bunch of tough, resilient people who love their community. And I'm not going anywhere, I'm gonna be right here fighting, okay? All right, all hearts and minds clear? Nate had something else, hold on one second.
So, it's jogged my memory once we started talking about historical sites. Next Thursday from 6 to 8 at Indiana University Northwest, Savannah Center, room 205, there's going to be a conversation on the past and future of North Gleason Park Pavilion. One of the goals that we want to establish is to establish it as a historical landmark. But one of the other things we want to do is to possibly see if we can get resources to restore it, because it's in really bad shape right now. So again, that's next Thursday, August 22nd from 6 to 8. That's at Indiana University Northwest, Savannah Center, room 205, and we're really looking for people who've had some experiences in the building over the course of the years. So if anybody utilized the facility when they were kids and on, we really would appreciate you coming out and speaking. The other thing is it's actually falling on me a little bit. I've got to update our master plan. It's time for us to do it. We don't have the resources to pay a consultant another $30,000. I think it's $30,000 to do it. So I've been tasked with doing it. But one of the things that I need is community engagement, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It requires input from the community. So if you would, there's a survey available. You can go to the city's website, which is www.gary.in.us/parks, and right on their front page, there's a 6-question survey. It takes you no more than 30 seconds to do. Just complete the survey if you would, good, bad, or indifferent, and that would help me out a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to know, are you still my precinct person?
I am.
Good.
I think you have 2 though, because when they consolidated the precincts, we were consolidated with 618 and 620. So it's 618, 619, and 620 is all together now. And those of us who were elected maintained our positions. Those who were appointed did not. So you have myself and, what's his name, Bill Oliver is also, but I am for 618, yes ma'am. I would like to thank our department heads, Chief Bradley, Nate George, and Rachel Caesar. And if there are no other issues, we are adjourned.